In this session, we discuss the testing of hypothesis. Hypothesis is usually considered as the principal instrument in research. In fact, many experiments are carried out with the deliberate object of testing hypothesis. Decision makers often face situations wherein they are interested in testing hypothesis on the basis of available information and then take decisions on the basis of such testing. Let us try to understand what is hypothesis. Hypothesis is singular, hypothesis is plural. Ordinarily, when we talk about hypothesis, one simply means a mere assumption or some supposition to be proved or disproved. But for a researcher, hypothesis is a formal question that he intends to resolve. Hypothesis may be defined as a proposition or a set of propositions set forth as an explanation for the occurrence of some specified group of phenomena, either accepted merely as a provisional conjecture to guide some investigation or accepted as highly probable in the light of established facts. Consider these following statements. Students who receive counseling will show a greater increase in creativity than students not receiving counseling. This is a hypothesis. Another hypothesis is the automobile A is performing as well as automobile B. These are hypotheses capable of being objectively verified and tested. Thus, we may conclude that a hypothesis states what we are looking for. Please note this point, that a hypothesis states what we are looking for, and it is a proposition which can be put to a test to determine its validity. This entire page we can understand in a simple way as hypothesis is what we are looking for, and it is a proposition which can be put to a test to determine its validity. Now, characteristics of hypothesis. Some of the characteristics are listed here. We will come to that later. Some of the basic concepts concerning the testing of hypothesis are given here. The most important are the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. What are these null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis? Let us discuss. If we are to compare method A with method B about its superiority, and if we proceed on the assumption that both the methods are equally good, then this assumption is termed as null hypothesis. As against this, we may think that the method A is superior or method B is inferior. We are then stating what is termed as alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis is generally symbolized as H0 or H0, and the alternative hypothesis as HA. Suppose we want to test the hypothesis that the population mean is equal to the hypothesized mean, that is equal to 100. Then we write like this. Null hypothesis, that is population mean is equal to the hypothesized mean equal to 100. Or we write that mu equal to mu H0 100. This is our null hypothesis. And alternative hypothesis means it can be like this. These are all alternative hypotheses. That mu is not equal to this hypothesized mean. In this case, the alternative hypothesis is that the population mean is not equal to 100. It may be more than 100 or less than 100. And this alternative hypothesis states that the population mean is greater than 100. And here, this alternative hypothesis states that population mean is less than 100. Actually, we propose this null hypothesis. Null hypothesis, this one. Mu equal to mu H0 equal to 100. And all other, or we say the set of alternative hypothesis is called the alternative hypothesis. And so if we accept this null hypothesis, then this alternative hypothesis is rejected. If we reject the null hypothesis, then alternative hypothesis is accepted. And then the question comes that what should be the null hypothesis, how we decide about the null hypothesis. Here are certain guidelines. Alternative hypothesis is usually the one which one wishes to prove, and the null hypothesis is the one which one wishes to disprove. This is one of the considerations. that alternative hypothesis is usually the one which one wishes to prove, and the null hypothesis is the one which one wishes to disprove. Thus, a null hypothesis represents the hypothesis we are trying to reject, and alternative hypothesis represents all other possibilities. Here in this example, we have seen the possibilities. That here we have written alternative hypothesis that population mean is not equal to that hypothesized mean of 100. Here we are specific, one-sided, that it is greater than 100. And here also we are specific one-sided, it is less than 100. And if the rejection of a certain hypothesis when it is actually true involves great risk, it is taken as null hypothesis. This is also an important consideration. The null hypothesis is considered in such a way that if the rejection of this hypothesis involves great risk, and null hypothesis should always be specific hypothesis. That it should not state about or approximately a certain value. It should be very specific, like here, that population mean is equal to hypothesized mean equal to 100. It is specific. It is not about or approximate like that. So these are three important considerations in the choice of null hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis is usually the one which one wishes to prove, and the null hypothesis is the one which one wishes to disprove. And if the rejection of certain hypothesis when it is actually true involves great risk, then it is taken as a null hypothesis, because then the probability of rejecting it when it is true is alpha, which is normally taken as very less, like 5% probability, 1% probability, like that. And null hypothesis should always be specific hypothesis. And coming to our level of significance, this is very important concept in the context of hypothesis testing. As I said just now, some percentage, say 5%, is chosen with great care, thought and reason. And here 5% level of significance means that researcher is willing to take as much as 5% risk of rejecting the null hypothesis when it happens to be true. When actually the null hypothesis is true, but if we are rejecting it means what is that probability? That is 5%. So 5% level of significance means that researcher is willing to take as much as 5% risk of rejecting the null hypothesis when it happens to be true. Thus, the significance level is the maximum value of the probability of rejecting null hypothesis when it is actually true, and is usually determined in advance before testing the hypothesis. Then comes decision rule or test of hypothesis. Here, given a hypothesis, the null hypothesis H0 and an alternative hypothesis HA, we make a rule which is known as decision rule, according to which we accept H0 or reject H0, and that is called decision rule. We are accepting H0 means we are rejecting alternative hypothesis. We are rejecting H0 means we are accepting the alternative hypothesis. And for example, we might test 10 items in the lot and plan our decision saying that if there are none or only one defective item among the 10, we will accept null hypothesis, otherwise we will reject this null hypothesis or accept alternative hypothesis. And here is one small example mentioned here. You can go through. This sort of basis is known as decision rule. And a decision rule is actually nothing but given a hypothesis H0 and HA, we make a rule which is known as decision rule, according to which we accept this null hypothesis or reject the null hypothesis. And then comes this type 1 and type 2 errors. Here is a table which can easily explain these errors. Suppose null hypothesis is true and we are rejecting it, then that is called type 1 error. Actually it should be accepted, but we are rejecting it. That risk involved, say 5% level of significance. And you can consider this now type 2 error. What is this type 2 error? If null hypothesis is actually false, but we are accepting the null hypothesis, then that is called type 2 error. Here also error is involved. This is named as beta error. Actually, here some explanation is mentioned given. If type 1 error is fixed at 5%, it means that there are about 5 chances in 100 that we will reject H0 when H0 is true. We can control type 1 error just by fixing it at a lower level. For example, if we fix it at 1%, we will see that the maximum probability of committing type 1 error would only be 0.01. Of course, we will discuss these details later. Now, these two-tailed and one-tailed tests. Now, you can consider this normal distribution. The data is normally distributed, and acceptance region, that is less than or equal to 1.96. And here again rejection region is given. That rejection region, of course, absolute value is given. Absolute value of Z, here 1.96, and here rejection region greater than or equal to 1.96. And now we can consider this single tail test. Here the Z value, if it is greater than minus 1.645, then that is acceptance region, and if Z value is less than or equal to minus 1.645, that is considered as rejection region. It is one-tailed test. And similarly, we can see the other way, that is acceptance region here Z less than or equal to 1.2645. All this is acceptance region towards left, and Z greater than 1.645 is the rejection region. Of course, here it is a mistake. Here Z value is plus 1.645. And how much area is occupied, that is shown here. Okay. Both taken together, that is here 95% of area. And actually here is also a mistake. It is 0.50 and it is 0.45. Total here 0.95 or 95% of area. And this is 5% of area. That is that rejection region. And here also please consider this sign as plus. And yes, in this figure it is clear, 0.540 and here 0.45, total area 0.95, and Z value here it is minus 1.645, and this area is 0.05 of area, that is 5%. Okay. Now let us go to the details of hypothesis testing. Now, what are the types of tests available? And tests of hypothesis. As has been stated, that hypothesis testing determines the validity of the assumption, technically described as null hypothesis, with a view to choose between two conflicting hypotheses about the value of a population parameter. Population parameters like mean, median, mode, standard deviation, like that. Those are the population parameters. And the statisticians have developed several tests of hypothesis, also known as the tests of significance, for the purpose of testing of hypothesis, which can be classified as parametric tests or standard tests of hypothesis. And non-parametric tests are distribution-free test of hypothesis. And that means there are basically two categories of this testing. One category is belonging to parametric tests, also called standard tests, and the other category is covering the non-parametric tests, also called distribution-free test of hypothesis. Actually, what are these parametric tests? They usually assume certain properties of the parent population from which the samples are drawn. Assumptions like the observations come from a normal population, that means data is distributed normally. Sample size is large. Assumptions about the population parameters like mean, variance, standard deviation, etc. must hold good before parametric tests can be used. But there are situations when the researcher cannot or does not want to make such assumptions. In such situations, we use statistical methods for testing hypotheses, which are called non-parametric tests, because such tests do not depend on any assumption about the parameters of the parent population. It is so simple that if we make assumptions about the parameters of the parent population, like mean, variance, etc., then the tests used for those hypothesis testing, those are called parametric tests. And the other situations where we do not have any assumptions about the parameters of parent population, those are called non-parametric tests or distribution-free test of hypothesis. Now, what are the important parametric tests? The important parametric tests are Z-test, T-test, chi-square test, and F-test. All these tests are based on the assumption of normality, that is, the sources of data is considered to be normally distributed. And we discuss the details in a subsequent lecture. But here, briefly we can see here that Z-test is based on the normal probability distribution and is used for judging the significance of several statistical measures, particularly the mean. And T-test is based on T distribution and is considered an appropriate test for judging the significance of sample mean or for judging the significance of difference between the means of two samples in case of small samples when population variance is not known. Please observe this point. This T-test is used in case of small samples when population variance is not known. Then chi-square test. Chi-square test is based on chi-square distribution and as a parametric test is used for comparing a sample variance to a theoretical population variance. Here one point I want to say that this chi-square test is used not only as a parametric test, it can also be used as a non-parametric test. Here as a parametric test it is described as it is used for comparing a sample variance to a theoretical population variance. And then there is F-test that is based on F distribution and is used to compare the variance of two independent samples. This test is also used in the context of ANOVA, analysis of variance, for judging the significance of more than two sample means at one and the same time. We discuss all these details in subsequent presentations. Now, let us go directly to chi-square. Now, chi-square test. Chi-square test is an important test amongst the several tests of significance developed by statisticians. And here, this is the technique through the use of which it is possible for all researchers to test the goodness of fit, test the significance of association between two attributes, and test the homogeneity or the significance of population variance. Actually here this third point is coming under the parametric test. Chi-square can be used as a parametric test here, coming to this third point. Whereas first and second points, these are related to the chi-square test as non-parametric test. Now let us see this point that is particularly related to this point 3. Let us see chi-square as a test for comparing variance. Here as a test means here basically chi-square as a parametric test for comparing variance. And you may be remembering that when we are having some assumptions about the population parameters like population mean, variance, then those are called parametric tests. And non-parametric tests, they do not make any assumptions about the population parameters like mean and variance. But here, as the topic is chi-square as a test for comparing variance of the population, Here we can consider chi-square as a parametric test for comparing variance. And here, lot of theory is given here, but we simplify this and we try to understand by means of an example. When we have to use chi-square as a test of population variance, we have to work out the value of chi-square to test the null hypothesis. What is the null hypothesis? This sigma s square equal to sigma p square. S stands for sample and p stands for population. That means the variance of the sample is equal to variance of the population. This is considered as the null hypothesis. So then alternative hypothesis means sigma s square is not equal to sigma p square, or sigma s square greater than sigma p square, or sigma s square less than sigma p square. All those can be considered as alternative hypothesis. And now, okay, null hypothesis is this, that sample variance is equal to population variance, and chi-square is calculated as the sigma square s square by sigma p square multiplied by n minus 1, where n minus 1 is called degrees of freedom, n being the number of items in the sample. And let us try to understand this by means of an example. Weight of 10 students is as follows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 students, and the corresponding weights in kilograms given here. Now the question is, can we say that the variance of the distribution of weight of all students from which the above sample of 10 students was drawn is equal to 20 kgs? Test this at 5% and 1% level of significance. So from a population sample of 10 students is considered and their weights are measured, and the weights, that data is given here. But what is the meaning of this sentence? Variance of the distribution of weight of all students from which the above sample was drawn is equal to 20 kg means the variance of the population is 20 kg. Variance of the population is 20 kg. That means sigma p square is equal to 20 kg. And now test this. That means we have to, can we say that the variance of the distribution of weight of all students from which this sample is drawn is equal to 20 kg? So this is the question here. Can we say that sigma p square is equal to this 20 kg? We have to test this at 5% and 1%. And for that we have to calculate our sigma s square. That is, sigma s square is related to the variance of the sample. We should work out the variance of the sample. And now the data we have written like this. So 10 students, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And their corresponding weights are given here. And total weight is 470 kg, n equal to 10. So we calculated the mean x bar, sigma xi by n, 470 by 10. So that is 47 kg. Then we calculated xi minus x bar. Xi means this. That means 38 minus x bar is 47. So 38 minus 47, that is minus 9. 40 minus 47, that is minus 7. 45 minus 47, minus 2. 53 minus 47, plus 6. 47 minus 47, 0. Like that we have done this. Then we have done xi minus x bar whole square. That means we have squared this. Minus 9 whole square, that is 81. Minus 7 whole square, 49. Minus 2 whole square, 4. Like that we have done. Then we have summed up all this. All the entire this column is summed up. Sigma xi minus x bar whole square, that is equal to 280. So then what we have done, we have calculated the standard deviation, sigma s, under the root of sigma xi minus x bar whole square by n minus 1. Here n is 10, and we have already the sigma xi minus x bar whole square as 280. We substituted the values. We got this value, sigma s as square root of 31.11. Or if we take the square of the sigma s, that is sigma s square, which is nothing but the variance of the sample, that is 31.11. And our null hypothesis is sigma p square is equal to sigma s square. That is, population variance is equal to the sample variance. In order to test this hypothesis, now we work out the chi-square value. Chi-square value is sigma s square by sigma p square multiplied by n minus 1. So we have already this sigma s square calculated 31.11 and sigma p square is here 20 kg. So by substituting these values, we are getting chi-square value as 13.999. And degrees of freedom in this given case is n minus 1, that is 10 minus 1 equal to 9. At 5% level of significance, the table value of chi-square is 16.92, and at 1% level of significance it is 21.67 for 9 degrees of freedom. And what is this tabular value? Now let us have an understanding. Please remember that number of degrees of freedom 9 and 5% level of significance. Okay, I show you here the statistical tables. Here we have the table 3, critical values of chi-square, and here probability under H0 that of chi-square greater than this chi-square. We have degrees of freedom 9, so come to this 9, and corresponding to this 9 and 5%. 5% means this coming here. 5%, we have 16.919. And if we consider 1% level of significance for 9 degrees of freedom, then this is 61.666. And for 5%, we have 16.919. So this way we can make use of this table. Now going back to our discussion. At 5% level of significance, the tabular value of chi-square is 16.92, and at 1% it is 21.67. And both these values are greater than the calculated value of chi-square. Calculated value is 13.999. I say that as this calculated value is less than the tabulated value of 16.92, and similarly it is the less than the tabulated value of 21.67 for 1% significance level, we can say that variance of the given distribution can be taken as 20 kgs. That means we are accepting the null hypothesis. We accept the null hypothesis when the calculated value of chi-square is less than the tabulated value of chi-square. Here, for both 5% level of significance and 1% level of significance, we have observed that calculated value is less than the tabulated values of the 16.92 and 21.67. So we can say at both the levels, that at 5% level as well as at 1% level of significance, the null hypothesis holds good. That means we are accepting the null hypothesis. And what is this null hypothesis? Null hypothesis is variance of the given distribution can be taken as 20 kgs. Because here in the question, can we say that the variance of the distribution of weight of all students from which the above sample of 10 students was drawn is equal to 20 kg? We are taking the null hypothesis. Yes, we can say. That is the meaning. Yes, we can say. Then we have done all this exercise, and then we found out that calculated value of chi-square is less than the tabulated value at the given level of significance. Then we concluded that our null hypothesis is true. So we say here that variance of the distribution of weight of all students, that is 20 kg. Sigma p square equal to 20. That is what we concluded. Now come to the second illustration. Here a sample of 10 is drawn randomly from a certain population. The sum of the squared deviations from the mean of the given sample is 50. Test the hypothesis that the variance of the population is 5 at 5% level of significance. And in this case, the sample size is that 10. And this value, sigma xi minus x bar whole square, that is given as 50. And yes, sigma s square, we can calculate using this given data, 50 by 9. And the null hypothesis is that sigma p square equal to sigma s square. In order to test the hypothesis, we have to calculate the value of chi-square. when we are calculating sigma s square, that is 50 by 9, and sigma p square 5, and this sigma p square, that is yes, variance of the population is 5. This is given. Variance of the population means sigma p square, that is 5, that is given. By substituting these values, we are getting chi square as 10, and degrees of freedom n minus 1, that is 9. And now this calculated value of 10, chi square value of 10 is compared with the tabulated value corresponding to 5% level for 9 degree of freedom. Let us go to the statistical table. For 9 degree of freedom and for 5%, or this level of significance, we have chi square value as 16.919. Of course, here it is written 16.92. Okay, and as the calculated value of chi square is less than the tabulated value, we accept the null hypothesis that sigma p square is equal to sigma s square, and conclude that the variance of the population is 5, as given in the question. So these two examples, that is illustration 1 and illustration 2, in these two examples, chi square is used as a parametric test. And now let us go for understanding chi square as a non-parametric test. And chi square is an important non-parametric test, and as such no rigid assumptions are necessary in respect of the type of the population. We require only the degrees of freedom, that means the size of the sample, for using this test. As a non-parametric test, chi square can be used as a test of goodness of fit and as a test of independence. And we see both the cases, as a test of goodness of fit and as a test of independence. What is this goodness of fit? This chi square test enables us to see how well does the assumed theoretical distribution fit to the observed data. That means theoretical data, how much it is fitting to the observed data. So to test that, the chi square value can be used. And if the calculated value of chi square is less than the tabulated value at a certain level of significance, then the fit is considered to be good one. But if the calculated value of chi square is greater than its tabulated value or tabular value, the fit is not considered to be a good one. This is for goodness of fit testing. And for testing of independence, this comes into picture when chi square test enables us to explain whether or not two attributes are associated. For instance, we may be interested in knowing whether a new medicine is effective in controlling fever or not. Chi square test will help us in deciding this issue. In such a situation, we proceed with the null hypothesis that the two attributes, that is new medicine and control of fever, are independent, which means that new medicine is not effective in controlling fever. So we make this as a null hypothesis. If you remember, the null hypothesis is the one which we normally want to disprove, and we want to prove the alternative hypothesis. And here that is why we are proceeding with the null hypothesis, that the two attributes, new medicine and control of fever, are independent. Independent means that new medicine is not having any effect on the control of fever. We want to disprove. Actually, what we want is that new medicine should be effective to control the fever. So, alternative hypothesis is that new medicine is effective to control the fever. Our null hypothesis is that new medicine is independent of this control of fever. That means they are not related. On the basis, we first calculated the expected frequencies and then work out the value of chi square. If the calculated value of chi square is less than the tabular value at a certain level of significance for a given degrees of freedom, we conclude that null hypothesis stands, which means that the two attributes are independent, are not associated. The new medicine is not effective in controlling the fever. But if the calculated value of chi square is greater than its tabular value, our inference then would be that null hypothesis does not hold good, which means that the two attributes are associated, and the association is not because of some chance factor, but it is real. This is important. You can Association is not because of some chance factor, but it exists in reality. That is, the new medicine is effective in controlling the fever and as such may be prescribed. Okay. So here these chi-square for goodness of fit testing and for independence testing. So the tests related to these two, these come under non-parametric. And so here this title is chi-square as a non-parametric test. Now let us discuss some more points about this. And here, yes, we calculate chi-square by this formula, Oij minus Eij whole square by Eij, where Oij is observed frequency of the cell in ith row and jth column. Eij is expected frequency of the cell in ith row and jth column. If two distributions, observed and theoretical, are exactly alike, then chi-square is 0. Obviously, when Oij is equal to Eij, then obviously the difference is 0, then chi-square value is 0. But generally, due to sampling errors, chi-square is not equal to 0, and as such we must know the sampling distribution of chi-square so that we may find the probability of an observed chi-square being given by a random sample from the hypothetical universe. And now let us try to understand this directly by means of an example. And here are some conditions like all the items in the sample must be independent. No group should contain very few items, say less than 10. In case where the frequencies are less than 10, regrouping is done by combining the frequencies of adjoining groups so that the new frequencies become greater than 10. Some statisticians take this number as 5, but 10 is regarded as a better by most of the statisticians. Like that, there are some conditions and one can go through these. And let us go to the example. These are the steps, and all these steps now I am going to explain by means of this illustration. A die is thrown 132 times with following results. Number turned up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The number 1 turned up 16 times, number 2 turned up 20 times, number 3 turned up 25 times, number 4 turned up 14 times, number 5 turned up 29 times, number 6 turned up 28 times. Question is the die unbiased? This is the question. Let us take the hypothesis that the die is unbiased. Here our hypothesis is die is unbiased. And if that is so, then what is the probability of obtaining any one of the 6 numbers? That is 1 by 6, because all these 6 numbers on that die, they have the equal probability, and so the probability is for each number is 1 by 6. And as such, the expected frequency of any one number coming upward is 132 multiplied by 1 by 6, because die is thrown 132 times. So 132 times multiplied by the probability of each number to come up, that is 1 by 6, that is 22. Now we can write the observed frequencies along with the expected frequencies and work out the value of chi-square. Now number turned up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Observed frequency, these 16, 20, 25, 14, 29, 28, those are written like this. Then what is the expected frequency? That is the same for all numbers. That is here, 22. 22 is written corresponding to all these. Then observed frequency minus expected frequency. 16 minus 22 minus 6, 20 minus 22 minus 2, 25 minus 22 3, 14 minus 22 minus 8, like this is done. Then all these values are squared here. Minus 6 whole square 36, minus 2 whole square 4, 3 whole square 9, like that. Then this column is divided by the corresponding EI values, like 36 by 22 and 4 by 22, 9 by 22, like this. This is OI minus EI whole square by EI. And then that total, that is this column total. Okay, here the value of sigma OI minus EI whole square by EI, that is equal to 9. So the calculated value of chi-square is 9, and number of degrees of freedom is calculated as n minus 1, that is 6 minus 1 equal to 5. And now we go to the statistical table. Then we will check corresponding to these 5 degrees of freedom and at 5% level of significance. What is the tabular value of chi-square? That is 11.071. And comparing this calculated and table values of chi-square, we find that calculated value is less than the table value. Here the calculated value of chi-square, that is 9, and tabular value is 11.071. So as I already said, if the calculated value of chi-square is less than the tabulated value, then we say that null hypothesis is true. And here our null hypothesis is that die is unbiased. So our null hypothesis is considered as a true null. And that means this die is unbiased. Now coming to another illustration, find the value of chi-square for the following information. Here 5 classes are given and observed frequency 8, 29, 44, 15 and 4. Theoretical frequency. Theoretical means the expected frequency here. Observed frequency means actual frequency observed. And this data is given. And now what we can do directly, we can follow the procedure like this. That we can make the column like observed frequency and expected frequency and then OI minus EI values. All this entire procedure we can follow, but here is a difference. Here we can observe that the frequencies corresponding to this class A, those are small. And similarly here corresponding to this class E, that frequency is also small. And since some of the frequencies are less than 10, we will regroup them. And why we are doing this? For that purpose, we have to have a quick look at our previous pages. Conditions for the application of chi-square test. Here it is written here. No group should contain very few items, say less than 10. In case where the frequencies are less than 10, regrouping is done by combining the frequencies of adjoining groups so that the new frequencies become greater than 10. So keeping this in mind, now we will try to regroup. Here what we are doing, A and B we are grouping together. That means 8 plus 29, 37, and C is 44, and D and E we are grouping because E, that is small, frequency is small, so 15 plus 4, 19. D and E we have made one single group, A and B as one group. So totally we are finally saying one group, second group, third group, 3 groups. So 5 initial groups, those are now regrouped into 3. Now what are the observed frequencies? Those are 37, 44 and 19. Then what is the expected frequency? Here also we are clubbing this. 7 plus 24, 31, then 38, then 24 plus 7, 31. Then as usual, OI minus EI, 37 minus 31, 6, 44 minus 38, 6, 19 minus 31, that is minus 12. Now we have squared and divided by the expected frequencies. That is 6 square, that is 36, by expected frequency, 31. So here 36 by 38. 36 kaise, that is because of this OI minus EI whole square. 6 square, that is 36 by 38. 38 because of this. And now minus 12 whole square, that is 144 divided by 31. And now chi-square is sigma of OI minus EI whole square by EI. So if we make the summation of this column, that means 36 by 31 plus 36 by 38 plus 144 by 31, that is coming as 6.76. So our question is here, find the value of chi-square, and no level of significance and nothing is mentioned. So it is, this illustration is simply about calculating chi-square. And now another illustration. Genetic theory states that children having one parent of blood type A and the other of blood type B will always be of one of three types, A, B and B, and that the proportion of three types will on an average be as 1:2:1. A report states that out of 300 children having one A parent and B parent, 30% were found to be types A, 45% type AB, and remainder type B. Test the hypothesis by chi-square test. So observed frequencies of type A, AB and B is given in the questionnaire 90, 135 and 75 respectively, because a report states that out of 300 children having one A parent and B parent, 30% were found to be of types A, 45% of type AB and remainder type B. So how these values 90, 135 and 75 are calculated? It is so simple, because total number, the report states that out of 300 children, so 30% found to be of type A, 30% of 300, that is 90, then 45% of 300, that is 135, and the remainder means 25%, 25% of 300, that is 75. These are the observed frequencies. And what are the expected frequencies? The expected frequencies are to be in this ratio, 1:2:1. So what we can do, what is the expected frequency of type A, that we can calculate as 300 multiplied by 1 divided by 4, because this total 1 plus 2 plus 1, that is 4. So expected frequency of type A will be 300 multiplied by 1 by 4, and for type AB that will be 300 multiplied by 2 by 4, and for type B it will be 300 multiplied by 1 by 4. I think here it is given expected frequency. Yes, this 75 is obtained as I have explained, 300 multiplied by 1 by 4, that is 75, and then 300 multiplied by 2 by 4, that is 150, 300 multiplied by 1 by 4, that is 75. These are the expected frequencies. Observed frequencies are given here. Then observed frequency minus expected frequency. 90 minus 75, 15. 135 minus 150, minus 15. 75 minus 75, 0. And we have squared these. And then we calculated this. OI minus EI whole square by EI. That means 225 by 75. 225 by 150. 0 by 75. So this summation, 3 plus 1.5 plus 0, that is 4.5. That is the value of chi-square. Then what is the degrees of freedom? That is n minus 1. And here we have now 3 groups only. Initial number of groups 5, but we have regrouped them in such a way that final number of groups is 3. So 3 minus 1, that is 2. So degrees of freedom 2, corresponding to 2 degrees of freedom and 5% level of significance. What is the value of chi-square from the table? That if you observe that statistical table, then you will find it as 5.991. And yes. And what now you compare this value with our calculated value. Calculated value of chi-square is 4.5 and tabular value is 5.991, corresponding to 2 degrees of freedom and 5% level of significance. As calculated value is less than the tabular value, we say that null hypothesis is true. That is, the theoretical hypothesis of the genetic theory that on an average type A, B and B stand in the proportion of 1:2:1. Here that is. Here. Because this theory is stating that the children having one parent of blood type A and the other of blood type B will always be of one of 3 types, and the proportion of 3 types will on an average be as they 1:2:1. So this is the theory. So this hypothesis we are taking it as a null hypothesis, and now we have tested it by this chi-square test, whether this null hypothesis is true or not. As the calculated value is coming less than the tabulated value, we conclude that null hypothesis is true. That means that genetic theory is true. Then another illustration, that this table shows the data obtained during outbreak of smallpox. Of course, now we have corona virus outbreak, and of course few decades ago the smallpox it occurred, and this data, let us say this data belongs to that period. Vaccinated, not vaccinated, and even though people got vaccinated, but 31 people got attacked by the smallpox and not attacked 469. Total 500. That means total 500 people got vaccinated. Out of 500 people, even though they got vaccinated, 31 got attacked and 469 they were not attacked by smallpox. And now not vaccinated, total 1500. 1500 people were not vaccinated. So out of 1500, 185 got attacked and 1315 not attacked. And this total number of attacked people, including those vaccinated and not vaccinated, that is 216. And total number of people not attacked by smallpox, whether vaccinated or not vaccinated, that summation is 1784. And total, that is 500 plus 1500, total is 2000. And question is, test the effectiveness of vaccination in preventing the attack from smallpox. Test your result with the help of chi-square at 5% level of significance. And yes, here this point you may observe. On the basis of, let us take the hypothesis that vaccination is not effective in preventing the attack from smallpox. That means vaccination and attack are independent. As I said a few minutes ago, that this chi-square test can also be used for testing the independence between two attributes. And here this vaccination and attack, these two attributes are considered as independent, and this is taken as our null hypothesis. On the basis of this hypothesis, expected frequency corresponding to the number of persons vaccinated and attacked. That means vaccinated and attacked, and that would be expectation of AB is given as this. You can see this as simple equation. A represents the vaccination and B represents the attack. And now total of A 500 and total of B 216, and total of A, that is 500, and of course this 500, and the total of B is taken as 216. Now please observe carefully. If we consider this vaccinated as capital A and attacked as capital B, and not attacked as small b, and not vaccinated as small a, and then this cell, these cells you can observe that this is capital A, this is capital B, so this is capital AB, and this is capital A small b, and here small a capital B, and here small a small b, and these values, and these 54, 162, 446, 1338, how they are obtained, that is explained here. Expectation of AB, that means expectation of AB, how we have calculated that 500, this 500 multiplied by this 216 divided by this total 2000. I mean 500 multiplied by 216 divided by 2000. That is coming here as 54. And now this A, capital A, small b, how that is calculated? That is 500 multiplied by 1784 divided by 2000. And so that way it is done, and that value is 446. Now how this 162 is obtained? You see 1500 multiplied by 216 divided by 2000. So that is 162. And now how this 1338 is arrived at? That is 1500 multiplied by 1784 divided by 2000. That is 1338. Please observe carefully, and I repeat it also for your sake. How this 54 is calculated? That is 500 multiplied by 216 divided by 2000. And this 446 is calculated as 500 multiplied by 1784 divided by 2000. And this 162 is calculated as 1500 multiplied by 216 divided by 2000. And this 1338, it is actually equal to 1500 multiplied by 1784 divided by 2000. So this way we have calculated. These are the expectations. These are the expectations. And the expectations, they are indicated like this. Now we calculate the chi-square value. Now what we do now, this capital A, capital B, capital A, small b, small a, capital B, small a, small b. What are the observed frequencies and what are the expected frequencies? Expected frequencies here we have 54, 446, 162, 1338. So those are given under this column. Those are written under this column. Now what are these 31, 469, 158 and 1315? Those are from here. These 31, 469, 185 and 1315. This is the data obtained. Data obtained, that means that is observed, actually observed data. Actually observed frequencies are given in this column and expected frequencies are given in this column. Then we are doing our exercise, OIJ minus EIJ. That means 31 minus 54 minus 23, 469 minus 446, 23, 158 minus 162, and just here, let me see, yes, 23, 158 and 162, and 1315 and 1338. Here it is alright, 23 minus 23, and let me check these values here. 31, 469, 185. So this is actually 185, not 158. So this is 185. So once we take 185, then 185 minus 162, that is plus 23. So there is some printing mistake here. So then OIJ minus EIJ whole square values are given here. Then OIJ minus EIJ whole square by EIJ. So those are here. And if you make this total summation, that is 14.642. 14.642. And degrees of freedom in this case means when we are trying to associate two attributes, then the degrees of freedom are calculated as R minus 1 into C minus 1. That is, R is number of rows and C is number of columns. And here R value, number of rows 2 and number of columns 2. You can observe here. In the original table itself, you can observe number of rows 2 and number of columns 2. Attacked, not attacked. And rows means vaccinated, not vaccinated. So number of rows 2 and number of columns 2. So using that R minus 1 multiplied by C minus 1, we calculate the number of degrees of freedom. Okay. Now we come to yes. Now degrees of freedom in this case is 1. So for 1 degree of freedom and at 5% level of significance, we check the value of chi-square from the statistical table, and that value is given here as 3.841. 3.841. But what is the calculated value of chi-square? That is 14.642. Calculated value is much higher than the tabulated value. That means the result of the experiment does not support the null hypothesis. We can thus conclude that vaccination is effective in preventing the attack from smallpox. And if you remember, in the beginning we made that null hypothesis that both are vaccination and attack are independent. Our null hypothesis is that. But we have seen now as calculated value is much more than the tabulated value, null hypothesis has to be rejected. And alternative hypothesis, that is vaccination is effective in preventing the attack from smallpox, that is accepted and concluded accordingly. Now similar illustration here. Two research workers classified some people in income groups on the basis of sampling studies. The results are given here. And here you please see number of rows. Investigators are 2, A and B. So number of rows are 2 and number of columns 3. Income groups, poor income group, middle income group and rich income group. And row summation and column summations are given here, 300, 150, 50 like this. And grand total is 500. And show that the sampling technique of at least one research worker is defective. And so what is the hypothesis? Let us take the hypothesis that the sampling techniques adapted by research workers are similar. So this is our null hypothesis. And so this being so, the expectation of A investigator classifying the people in poor income group, middle income group and rich income group, those are calculated like this. And how these are calculated you can observe here, because just similar to our previous case study or illustration, we can see that 200 multiplied by 300 divided by 500. That takes this first cell. And coming to this second cell, what we do? 200 multiplied by 150 divided by 500. And corresponding to this cell, 200 multiplied by 50 divided by 500. Now coming to this B, how we put the value here? 300 multiplied by 300 divided by 500. And here the value, here corresponding value will be 300 multiplied by 150 divided by 500. And here corresponding to this 40, how we calculate 300 multiplied by 50 divided by 500. So when we do that such calculations, and we write here that observed frequencies and expected frequencies, this 160, 30, 10, 140, 120, 40, these are the actually given values. This 160, 30, 10, 140, 120 and 40. These are the actually observed frequency values. Now we have calculated our expected frequency values. Then OAJ minus EIJ. And here sample calculations are shown here, the way I have explained just now. Then the difference between observed frequency and the expected frequency. 160 minus 120, that is 40, 30 minus 60 minus 30, 10 minus 20 minus 10, 140 minus 180 minus 40, like this these are done. And this OAJ minus EAJ whole square divided by, here divided by symbol is missing, so by EAJ, so that those values are given here. And if we make this column summation, that is the value of our chi-square. Our chi-square value is 55.54. Then degrees of freedom is calculated as C minus 1 into R minus 1. Our columns are 3 and rows are 2. You can observe here from the original data that 2 investigators, so 2 rows and 3 income groups, so 3 columns. And so putting those values here, we are getting the degrees of freedom as 2. So now what we do, we check the statistical table for the value of chi-square. For 2 degrees of freedom at 5% level of significance, that value you will find it as 5.991. And then compare this table value with this chi-square calculated value. Calculated value is much higher than this tabulated value. That means our null hypothesis is not good, it is to be rejected. Calculated value of chi-square is much higher than this table value, which means that the calculated value cannot be said to have arisen just because of chance. It is significant. and so this point is important, and hence the hypothesis does not hold good. This means that the sampling techniques adapted by two investigators differ and are not similar. So our null hypothesis is saying they are similar. As we have rejected the null hypothesis, now we can say they are not similar. Naturally, then the technique of one must be superior than that of the other. And one more example is given here. 8 coins were tossed 256 times and the following results were obtained. Number of heads and frequency. These are the observed frequencies. And are the coins biased? Actually, there are 8 coins. Use chi-square test. So the procedure is given here. You can go through. These are self-explanatory. And the expected frequencies are calculated like this, as there are 8 coins here. And why this 1 by 2? It is very simple, because coin has a head or tail, head and tail actually. If the probability of any one coin falling with the head upward is 50%, that is 0.5. And with the tail upwards is also 0.5, equal probabilities. That is why those probability values here, 1 by 2, 1 by 2 shown. And yes, the expected frequencies are calculated, and then as for the procedure, number of hits, observed frequencies, expected frequencies, the difference between observed and expected frequencies, and then OA minus EI whole square divided by EI. Those values are given here. Then chi-square value is 3.13. And what about the degrees of freedom? Here n minus 1. N minus 1 here, n is 9. N is 9 because starting here, you can observe here. Yes. Start number of hits 0. So 0 to 8 total 9. And so n value is taken as 9 and degrees of freedom 8. Now corresponding to 80 degrees of freedom and 5% level of significance, tabular value of chi-square is 15.507. And calculated value of chi-square is 3.13, which is much less than the tabulated value, and hence it is insignificant and can be ascribed due to fluctuations of sampling. So our null hypothesis is good, that is to be accepted hypothesis, and we may say that the coins are not biased. That null hypothesis is that coins are not biased. So the result is also agreeing with that. Then we have an alternative formula, that is called Yates. Of course, here is alternative formula, but now we will discuss Yates correction. F. Yates has suggested a correction for continuity in chi-square value calculated in connection with a 2 by 2 table. And this Yates correction is applicable for 2 by 2 table, particularly when cell frequencies are small. And that correction is 0.5. And this I explain by means of an example. And actually this one, chi-square, corrected value of chi-square according to Yates, that is given this way. Absolute value of observed frequency minus expected frequency minus 0.5, that whole square divided by the expected frequency, and so on. And this example is showing following information is obtained concerning an investigation of 50 ordinary shops of small size, run by men and run by women, and shops in towns and in villages. 2 rows are there and 2 columns are there. So 2 by 2 table, and the total number of men 17 plus 18, 35 here. Run by women, total number of women 3 plus 12, 15. The grand total is 50 persons. And total in towns, the number of shops in towns run by men and women put together 20. Total number of shops run in villages by men and women, total is 30. Can it be inferred that shops run by women are relatively more in villages than in towns? Use chi-square test. So take the hypothesis that there is no difference so far as shops run by men and women in towns and villages. So this becomes our null hypothesis. Our null hypothesis is this. With this hypothesis, the expectation of shops run by men in towns would be, and this will be similar to the one of our previously described examples, that you remember capital A, capital B, small b, capital A, small a, like that. And so we have followed the similar procedure, and we have calculated this capital A, capital B, capital A, small a, capital B, small a, small b, like this. And then yes, the calculation of now, okay, for sum of u, I try to explain one term how these are obtained. Now we can see here, this following information is obtained. That means these are observed values. These 17, 18, 3 and 12, these are observed values. What are the expected values? How we calculate, for example, corresponding to this cell, what we write? 35 multiplied by 20 divided by 50. And similarly corresponding to this, 35 multiplied by 30 divided by 50. And now corresponding to this cell, 15 multiplied by 20 by 50. And corresponding to this cell, 15 multiplied by 30 by 50. So by this we have these values. And then okay, as usual, now what we are observed frequencies, expected frequencies, and the differences, and then this OAJ minus EAJ whole square divided by EAJ. And when we make the summation of this column, that is 3.57, and that is the calculated value of chi-square. But now, as one cell frequency is only 3, now you can observe, as one cell frequency is only 3 here, run by women in towns, that is only 3, and then we apply Yates correction. If you see Yates correction, what is mentioned here? Yates has suggested a correction for continuity in chi-square value calculated in connection with a 2x2 table, particularly when cell frequencies are small, since no cell frequency should be less than 5 in any case, though 10 is better as stated earlier. And because of this point, that here in our table we have small frequency, that is 3, we apply Yates correction like this. So what we are doing, 17 minus 14, OI minus EI, absolute value we are taking, minus 0.5 divided by EI, EIJ, that is 14. So plus, then 18 minus 21, absolute value, minus that 0.5 whole square by 21, plus this 3 minus this 6, absolute value, minus 0.5 whole square by 6, and this last one, 12 minus 9, absolute, minus 0.5 whole square by 9. Then we are getting 2.478. This is the corrected value of chi-square. And degrees of freedom for this C minus 1 into R minus 1, as number of rows 2 and columns 2, we are getting degrees of freedom as 1. So corresponding to degrees of freedom 1 and 5% level of significance, the table value of chi-square is 3.841. And you can see the statistical table, there you will find the value of chi-square corresponding to degrees of freedom 1 and 5% level of significance as 3.841. So corrected value of chi-square is 2.478, and that is less than the tabular value that is can be observed. So our hypothesis stands. We can conclude that there is no difference between shops run by men and women in villages and towns. And here is one additive property. An important property of chi-square is its additive nature. This means that several values of chi-square can be added together, and if the degrees of freedom are also added, this number gives the degrees of freedom of the total value of chi-square. That means, you see here this example. 5 investigations, chi-square values in 5 investigations are given here, and number of degrees of freedom in each investigation, they are also given. And Now the total value of chi-square corresponding to all 5 investigations, if you sum up, that is 18, and the number of degrees of freedom, that is 5. So by adding all the values of chi-square, we obtain a value of 18. Also by adding the various degrees of freedom, we obtain value of 5. We can now state that the value of chi-square for 5 degrees of freedom is 18. So that is called, actually this is coming under additive property. And okay, now let us understand some important characteristics of chi-square test. This test as a non-parametric test is based on frequencies and not on the parameters like mean and standard deviation. And if it depends upon this, if it depends on mean, variance or standard deviation, then chi-square test is used as a parametric test. But as a non-parametric test, it is based on frequencies and not on the parameters. This test is used for testing the hypothesis and is not useful for estimation. And this test possesses the adhesive property, as has already been explained. This test can also be applied to complex contingency table with several classes, and as such is a very useful test in research work. This test is an important non-parametric test as no rigid assumptions are necessary in regard to the type of population, no need of parameter values, and relatively less mathematical details are involved. And here is a caution in using chi-square test, that is, possible reasons concerning the important application or misuse of this test can be neglect of frequencies of non-occurrence, failure to equalize the sum of observed and the sum of the expected frequencies, wrong determination of the degrees of freedom, wrong computations, and the like. But please remember, the more important is, it should be borne in mind that the test is to be applied only when the individual observations of sample are independent. This is the important part, which means that the occurrence of one individual observation has no effect on the occurrence of any other observation in the sample under consideration. This is one of the important cautions which we have to keep in mind while using the chi-square test. And yes, coming to these questions, yes, what is chi-square test? Explain its significance in statistical analysis. These you can respond. I don't think this is a complicated question. Additive property of chi-square, just now we have discussed. Chi-square as a test of goodness of fit, precautions in applying chi-square test, conditions for applying chi-square test. These also we have discussed. And now coming to this problem number 3. An experiment was conducted to test the efficacy of chloromycetin and checking typhoid. In a certain hospital, chloromycetin was given to 285 out of the 392 patients suffering from typhoid. The number of typhoid cases were as follows. This data is given. And with the help of chi-square, test the effectiveness of chloromycetin in checking typhoid. And the chi-square value at 5% level of significance is given. That is, for 1 degree of freedom is 3.841. He has given directly so that you need not to go through the statistical table for chi-square distribution. And you can attempt this. This is similar to our, say, illustration 6. Illustration 6. Okay, what is illustration 6? Please, you can see here. This is similar to that. Like here, vaccinated, not vaccinated, attacked, not attacked. Then this row summation is 500, not vaccinated row summation is 1500, attacked column summation is 216, not attacked column summation is 1784, and grand total is 2000. And what we have done this way. that expectation of AB, expectation of A small b, expectation of small a capital B, expectation of small a small b. These we have calculated, and then we proceeded with these values and calculated the value of chi-square, and then calculated degrees of freedom also. Then calculated value is compared with the tabulated value, and then conclusion is drawn. So this problem or the question given at the end of this chapter, that is similar to that illustration 6. I have written here similar to illustration 6, and yes, you can attempt that way. Yes. And now this problem number 4, question number 4. On the basis of information given below about the treatment of 200 patients suffering from a disease, state whether the new treatment is comparatively superior to the conventional treatment. Here also you see 2 treatments are there, 2 rows and 2 columns, favorable response and no response. And here of course it is 2 by 2 case, and similar to our illustration 6, you can go ahead to solve this question number 4, and this total, this type of column you can add here while solving this problem. But please remember, total number of columns means here 2 only, and total number of rows will be 2. And here also total number of rows 2 and the total number of columns 2. This is only for our calculation purpose. Actual case study is related to typhoid, no typhoid, chloromycetin, no chloromycetin. Here also new treatment, conventional treatment, favorable response, no response. So that way this problem number 4 is similar to this problem number 3, which you can solve by going through that illustration 6. Now 200 digits were chosen at random from a set of tables. Their frequencies of the digits are given. Digit 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And actually 10 numbers, okay, 10 digits. And yes, frequency. That means the summation, if you take 18 plus 19 plus 23 plus 21 plus 16, etc., last 2 plus 15, that is total is equal to 200. And when digits were chosen, then it was observed that 18 times we got digit 0, 19 times we got digit 1, 23 times we got digit 2, and 21 times we got digit 3, like that. And now calculate chi-square. To calculate chi-square means we need to have those expected frequencies also. These are the observed frequencies. The frequencies given here, those are observed frequencies. And how to calculate expected frequencies? That is very simple, as there are 10 digits, including 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Total 10 digits. So each digit is having the probability of 1 by 10. 1 by 10. And as the total number is 200, 200 into 1 by 10, that is 20. That means each digit expected frequency is 20. That means for 0 the expected frequency will be 20, for 1 the expected frequency will be 20, for 2 also the expected frequency will be 20, for like that, for all. For 9 also the expected frequency will be 20. So you can make one table including these observed frequencies and expected frequencies. Then similar to the manner I explained, that observed frequency minus expected frequency you can calculate, then observed frequency minus expected frequency whole square by expected frequency. Those values you can calculate corresponding to all these 10 digits. Then chi-square value, that is equal to sigma, that observed frequency minus expected frequency whole square by expected frequency. By that you calculate chi-square. Here this problem is related to only calculate chi-square. They have not asked us further. So simply calculate chi-square. And if you are interested, then you can find out the tabulated value of chi-square also, and here the n value will be then 10, and degrees of freedom will be 10 minus 1, 9, and assuming 5% level of significance, you can find out the tabulated value of chi-square and make a comparison of this calculated value of chi-square with the tabulated value. And here 5 dice were thrown 96 times like this. This problem is similar to one of the problems which I had shown. Now find chi-square from the following information. Yes, here condition of child, clean, fairly clean, dirty. Condition of home, clean and dirty. And now how many rows are there means 3 rows, and how many columns means 2 columns. So 3 rows and 2 columns. And degrees of freedom will be like r minus 1 into c minus 1. That means 3 minus 1 into 2 minus 1. So number of degrees of freedom will be 2. Number of degrees of freedom will be 2 in this case. And you can calculate this value of chi-square. And here these are the observed values. These are the observed values. These are the observed values. So based on these observed values, you can now calculate that actually expected values. Expected values that is similar to that illustration 6. How we calculate corresponding to this cell, just I explained. That will be this 120 multiplied by 185 divided by 300. And corresponding to this, that will be 120 multiplied by 115 by 300. And now corresponding to this, 100 multiplied by 185 by 300. Corresponding to this, 100 multiplied by 115 by 300. Corresponding to this, this 80 multiplied by 185 by 300. Corresponding to this, 80 multiplied by 115 by 300. So that way we can get the expected frequencies. And then as you are having these observed values and now expected values, you can go ahead and calculate the value of chi-square, and thereby you can state whether the two attributes, that is condition of home and condition of child, are independent or not. Here chi-square test is used for testing the independence. And here make the null hypothesis that these two attributes are independent. And based on the value of chi-square, you conclude whether to accept the null hypothesis or to reject the null hypothesis. Now coming to this question 8. In a certain cross, the types represented by capital XY, capital X small x capital Y, and small x small y are expected to occur in a 9:5:4:2 ratio. The actual frequencies were. So actual frequencies are given here. And okay, theoretical or expected frequencies, how we calculate? Here in a certain, what is the total, let us see. The total here is 180 plus 110 plus 60 plus 50. 190, 290, 350, 400. So 400. So what is the expected frequency of this capital XY? Capital XY. What we can do is total summation 400. So here this is 9 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2, 20. So 9 by 20. 9 by 20 multiplied by 400. That means 180. So expected frequency for this capital XY will be 180. Now what about this capital X small y? What is the expected frequency? For that, 5 by 20 multiplied by 400. That will be 100. And coming to the small x capital Y, 4 by 20 multiplied by 400. That will be 80. And for small x small y, this will be 2 by 20 multiplied by 400. That is 40, I think. So those will be the expected frequencies. And then then you are having observed frequencies and calculated expected frequencies. Going ahead with the chi-square calculation procedure, calculate chi-square and compare that with the tabulated value. And if our calculated value is less than the tabulated value, then you can say that these null hypothesis that these are expected to occur in the 9542 ratio, that is correct. Otherwise, you say it is not correct. And similarly, you can solve these other problems also. And yes, here coming to this 10th one, result of throwing die were recorded as follows: number falling upwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Frequency, this is observed frequency, and the expected frequencies we can find out, because as it is a die, each number is having the equal probability of 1 by 6 of falling upwards. So what is the total here, you find out. 20, 60, 91, 120, 150, 174. Total 174 times. Total 174. So 174 multiplied by 1 by 6. I think that is 29. So expected frequency for each number will be 29. So frequency here, observed value 27, so expected value 29. Observed value 33 and expected value 29. Observed value 31, expected value 29. So that way you can show and then calculate chi-square value, and based upon that you conclude is the die unbiased or not. And our null hypothesis we can make is that die is unbiased, and then based on the value of calculated chi-square and its comparison with the tabulated value, you will find out whether null hypothesis is true or not. And this is also similar one, that is, theory predicts the proportion of beings in 4 groups should be 9331. 1600 beings, number in the 4 groups were given, and that means these are the observed frequencies, and expected frequencies means that you have to see this 9331, 16 total. That means 9 by 16 multiplied by 1600. That will be the expected frequency for capital A, and 3 by 16 multiplied by 1600. That will be the expected frequency for capital B. Like that we can calculate, and this is the solution is similar. Solution means the method of doing the problem will be similar to this problem number 8 or so. Now what about this? You have problem number 12. You are given a sample of 150 observations classified by 2 attributes A and B as follows. Here you can see there are 3 rows and 3 columns, and use the chi-square test to examine whether A and B are associated or not. A and B are associated or not. So you can put different, like B1A1, B1A2, B1A3, B2A1, B2A2, B2A3, B3A1, B3A2, B3A3, and the expected values you can calculate it. You can calculate similar to the one which I explained in illustration 6, and then go ahead and you can then you can make use of that calculated value of chi-square to examine whether A and B are associated or not. And here you can make the null hypothesis that they are A and B, they are not associated, they are independent. That you can make as null hypothesis. And here a survey of 320 families with 5 children each revealed the following distribution: number of boys, number of girls, number of families. Is the distribution consistent with the hypothesis that male and female births are equally probable? Apply chi-square test. Yes, here Yates correction. Find the value of chi-square applying Yates correction to the following data: day classes, evening class, passed, failed. 2 by 2 matrix, 2 by 2 table, and in this why we are requiring Yates correction? Because here this frequency is smaller, and that is why we apply the Yates correction procedure. And yes, and coming to problem number 15, 1000 babies were born during a certain week in a city, of which 600 were boys and 400 girls. Use chi-square test to examine the correctness of the hypothesis that the sex ratio is 1:1 in newly born babies. Okay, and here the observed data, boys 600 and girls 400, and the hypothesis is 1:1. That means equal probability, and total 1000 babies were born. So expected frequency means this 1000 multiplied by 1/2, that is 500. 500 for boys and 500 for girls. Those are the expected frequencies. But observed frequencies for boys 600 and 400 for girls. So for boys, expected frequency 500, observed 600. For girls, expected frequency 500 and observed frequency 400. So you use our chi-square calculation and then examine the correctness of the hypothesis. And this other problem also can be solved easily. And like that you can do all these problems. For example, coming to problem number 17. Number of automobile accidents per week in a certain community were as follows. So what is the total number of accidents you see? 20, 42, 56, 66, 71, 81, 87, 96, 100. 100 number of accidents. Are these frequencies in agreement with the belief that accident conditions were the same during the 10-week period under consideration? So 10 weeks are considered and total number of accidents 100. And are the frequencies in agreement with the belief that accident conditions were the same during the 10-week period? Means on an average we say that each week 100 by 10, that means 10 accidents per week. So that is the expected frequency. Every week expected frequency of accidents 10. But here actually observed are 12, 8, 20 like that. So here the first week 12, but what is the expected frequency? 10. Second week observed accidents number is 8, but expected is 10. And for the third week observed number of accident 20, but expected 10. And here observed accidents 2, but expected 10. So you have these observed values and expected values, then carry on our chi-square calculation. And then you just accept the null hypothesis or reject the null hypothesis. You decide based on the comparison of calculated chi-square value with the tabulated value. You may consider 5% level of significance. And 18 problem also you can do easily. And here you see this problem, 19th problem, 2 rows and 3 columns problem. This also you can do. And okay. Now 22nd problem might be interesting to students. A group of 150 college students were asked to indicate their most liked film star from among 6 different well-known film actors, A, B, C, D, E and F. These are the film actors, in order to ascertain their relative popularity. Observed frequency data were as follows. Actors A, B, C, D, E, F, frequencies 24, 20, 32, 25, like that. Total 150. Total 150 students, and 24 liked actor A, 20 liked actor B, 32 liked actor C, 25 liked actor D, 28 liked actor E, 21 liked actor F. So then what is the expected frequency? So expected frequency and tested 5% whether all actors are equally popular. So let us make the null hypothesis that all actors are equally popular. That is our null hypothesis. If all actors are equally popular, then as total number of actors are 6, total number of students 150, 150 by 6, that is 25. 25 is the expected frequency for each actor. That means for A, expected frequency is 25, for B, expected frequency is 25, for C, expected frequency is 25, like that. And then as you are having observed frequencies and expected frequencies of 25 each for these actors, then go ahead with the chi-square calculation procedure and compare the calculated value of chi-square with the tabulated value. Here to find out the tabulated value, You go for 5% level of confidence and n minus 1, that is 6 minus 1, 5 degrees of freedom. For 5 degrees of freedom and for 5% level of confidence, you check the value of chi-square from the statistical table. That value you can compare with the calculated value. If the calculated value is less than the tabulated value, then our null hypothesis is true. That means all actors are equally popular. So, sufficient number of problems we have discussed. Some problems in illustrations and some problems given as questions at the end of this chapter. So, with this, we conclude this chi-square test chapter.